Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here or you've been here before but have not subscribed yet, please do so, along with hitting that thumbs up button for me and dropping your comments. Definitely want to hear the comments, especially concerning this video, because we got some bad news today. I mean, we were all kind of suspecting it wasn't going to look good. Watching Julius Randle grimace after he sprained that ankle, after he placed his foot on top of Bam's foot, trying to get a rebound. He rolled it, and it is now reported that Julius Randle is out for the remainder of the season with an ankle sprain. Yep, that is correct. It's sad news. It's sad news because, I wanted him to get some rest, but not because of an injury. Let's get to some details on this. Down below, New York Knicks PR tweeted it out. Julius Randle sustained a sprained left ankle in last night's game against Miami. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. And then I retweeted this on top of quote tweeted it. Randle's ankle will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, which from today will be April 13th. The first round of playoffs begin April 15th. This will be cutting it close for the Knicks to have Julius on the court in time for Game 1, hoping for a breezy, speedy recovery. I am, however, when you look at what Kevin Durant went through, he sprained his ankle just in warm-ups. He missed that game and proceeded to miss an additional 9 games. He missed a total of 3 weeks. 3 weeks total. So at this point, it's looking like Randle returning in time for the playoffs for the first round is in jeopardy, at least the first couple of games. It's possible if he's on the same timeline as Durant was, 3 weeks, that he would be ready to play possibly Game 4 in that series, maybe Game 3. So it's going to be interesting. In that series right now, it's looking like it's going to be against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which we are playing on Friday, the final time we play against them, and it will determine the season series because the Knicks are currently up 2-1. If we win that, we sweep that series, and if we win that, we solidify that fifth place position, and it still gives the Knicks a slight outside hope, still a chance of overcoming Cleveland to get that 4th seed. However, it all starts with winning on Friday against the Cavs, and they're going to have to do it without their big man Julius Randle. In this video, I'm going to break down what the Knicks are going to do. I mean, what are their options? Who can they look at? Who's going to fill the power forward role? How can they fill it? And we're also going to look at Quentin Grimes. He's been outstanding of late, and we're going to break it down because he's now becoming truly one of the best young 3-and-D players in the entire NBA. And I call him a 3-and-D plus because of his playmaking, which has been outstanding, and his ability to drive and finish. That's something that generally 3-and-D guys don't provide. But the defense, he definitely does, and we're going to get into that. And then we're going to look at the playoff picture itself. I'm going to break down the matchup with the Knicks and the Cavs, and I'm going to look at it from the standpoint of Randle not playing in that series, in that first-round series, and see what kind of a chance the Knicks have with that. But before we get to that, let's get to the next thing here. Stephen Bondi, he put this article out today. You guys should definitely check it out. He tweeted it out. Is a quote from R.J. Barrett. I'm playing power forward. I've done it before. I'm comfortable with it. With the way the NBA is now, it makes it kind of easier. Interesting. In the article, he doesn't go into why it makes it kind of easier, but it's interesting that that's his point of view, and he has played it, that power forward, and he's played it pretty well. In fact, let's look at the stats here. So look, this is a breakdown right now of all the power forwards that the Knicks have utilized in this season so far. Obviously, Randle has played it the most. He's played 5,359 possessions, and this is from Cleaning the Glass, these numbers. And if the number in bracket next to the actual stat is in orange, oh, it's ended up 730. It's supposed to be 73, not 731. Next to that differential of +3, is it a 73rd percentile? So the higher the percentile, the better it is. The lower the percentile, the worse you are comparative to other players in the league. So you want to be in the orange. You want to be in the higher numbers. That's where you want to be. And Randle, as a power forward, while he's on the court, the Knicks are plus 3.0 points per game per 100 possessions, which is good for a 73rd percentile. And the offense itself scores 120 points while he's on the court per 100 possessions for an 89 percentile, which is excellent. The field goal percentage of the team is 54.8% when Randle's on the court, which is 54 percentiles, just a little bit above average. But in defense, this is what happens. When Randle's on the court, the opponents score 114.9 points per game, almost 115 points per game, which is right smack in the middle, 50 percentile. But the field goal percentage that the team holds the other opponent down to is 53.5%. So that is, it's inverted. The percentiles are inverted when it's on the defense. So obviously the lower the number, the better. In this case. So 53.5% comes out to the 73rd percentile. That 73rd percentile pops up again when you look at Obi Toppin's numbers. So let's say Obi Toppin did start the second half against the Heat. He came out. He did not play in the fourth quarter. He wasn't there to close. I think he played a few minutes, maybe a minute or two in the beginning of the fourth quarter. But once they went with that closing lineup of IQ, Grimes, Josh Hart, R.J. Barrett, and Isaiah Hartenstein, they closed the game last night against the Miami Heat, and they did a tremendous job. It was awesome. It was one of the best moments I've had as a fan of this team. I loved watching all of our young guys, along with Hartenstein and Josh Hart, our three major draft picks there. Barrett, Grimes, and Quickly. These are our homegrown talent, and they delivered big time to win that game. In fact, before we continue on this, I want to relive that incredible play, which I consider the best pass of the year in the entire NBA, considering the stakes of the game and what the Knicks had available. Randle was out, and Brunson was not feeling. He was his first game back from his injury, and he was not his usual self. And the Knicks were up against the Heat, who were desperate for this win. Let's go.
He'll look forward to lose this one. Quickly, he'll answer the corner. Fades, bounces, Hartenstein, rises, and throws it down.
IQ basically dissected the entire Miami Heat defense. Look, all five players right there. Boom. Bounced past it right between them. Give a shout out to Isaiah for cutting over to making himself available. And for RJ as well. He slipped down, so he kept Zeller sealed. Beautiful play, outstanding. The score was tied 79-79 at the time. And from this point on, the Knicks continued to plow ahead, took control of this game, and never let the Miami Heat back in it. Outstanding play, outstanding. Beautiful play. Loved it. All right, let's continue with this. So when Obi Toppin is on the court as the power forward, he's played 1,611 possessions. Now look at his differential. He's a plus 3.3, 73rd percentile. Exactly what Randle's is, pretty much. However, the offense doesn't click as well. The offense only averages 112.4 points per 100 possessions for a 30th percentile. You can see those are in blue, those numbers. And the offensive field goal percentage is 52.2% for a 19 percentile. So, the scoring and the efficiency of the offense takes a big hit when Toppin enters and Randle goes out. However, ironically, because defense has been a major knock against Obi. However, when he's on the court, this is 1,611 possessions. When he's on the court, opponents are held to 109.1 points per game, which is 94 percentile. Now, let's bear in mind, this is mostly against the other team's second unit, bench unit, or a mixture of the bench unit. It's not against the full starters, which is generally their best players, obviously. So that's something to factor in. But at least it's nice to see that the defense doesn't completely crater. And we can see it because Randle, that's one thing, his defense has been spotty. He's had he's had stretches where he's been phenomenal defensively, and then he's had the beginning of the year he was not playing well defensively those first 15 games or so, and as of late. He's suffered. I think that 57-point game took a lot out of him. The tremendous amount of minutes he's been playing lately. He played a lot of minutes in that double overtime against Boston. He leads the league in minutes played, I believe. And he had played every single game, and it's going to be sad to see that he won't be able to continue that streak. However, it's I did want him to rest, so it's like a thing, but not this way. But defensively, when Toppin's on the court, they hold opponents' field goal percentage to 50.8%. Now, the field goal percentage is a combination of 2-point shots and 3-point shots, and it's weighted to take into effect the higher value of the 3-point shot. So that's why we're not looking at just plain field goal percentage. So that's a 96th percentile when Obi's on the court. So if Obi's going to take over the power forward role for Randle, what he has to focus on is the offensive part. He's got to focus on the defense, but whatever he's doing defensively is enough at the moment. He may have to step it up because he'll be going up against tougher talent, tougher opponents. The best power forwards in the game. He'll be going up against them. So overall, he's going to have to raise his output and effort on the court. He's going to have to study film like the way IQ does. Just dissect it and find the weaknesses of the opponents and find the tendencies of the opponents on the offensive side so he can shut them down, be a part of shutting them down. Now listen, you're not going to replace Randle, as Thibodeau said in the post-game interview. You're not going to replace Randle with one guy. It's going to be a team effort. More guys, everyone's going to have to rebound more, defend more. They're going to have to pick up the scoring. It's just what's going to happen. And they were able to do it against the Heat in that second half, but we're talking about now for the remaining 5 games of the season and possibly the first 3 or 4 games of the playoffs. So it's a tall order. However, this is the moment. This is what young players wait for, this opportunity. It's a dark little thing that you don't want to talk about it. You wait for the main guy to get injured so you can get your chance. But that's just the reality of the world, the reality of the situation. Toppin right here. This is his time. This is his moment to prove himself. This is his chance. This is his chance, the way IQ got his chance when Brunson went down, to prove that he's worth an extension, that he's worth some big money. Now, Toppin may not get that money from us, but we'll talk about that later. It makes me sad to think about that because I love his vibe and everything, and I think he has great potential. But the reality is he's the stand-in for Randle. He's the understudy, but not anymore. He is now going to be the lead power forward on the New York Knicks for the next 2 to 3 weeks. RJ Barrett has actually played 139 possessions at power forward for these Knicks, and he's actually done very well. The differential when he's on the court playing power forward, that means Randle's not on the court. So RJ, 21.3 3 points. They're a plus 21.3 per 100 possessions. The offense gets a big bump. It goes to 128.8 points per 100 possessions for a 99 percentile. The field goal percentage, though, look how weird that is. It drops to 50.8. 50.8. So I think a lot of it is because they get what they do is they miss shots, but they get the long rebounds. They get a lot of second chance opportunities when they're small. That's the advantage there because they're not shooting better, which is weird. Then when you look at the defense, when RJ's on the court, RJ Barrett, he's in the middle there, the middle column. When RJ Barrett is on the court, defensively, they're fantastic. They hold opponents to 107.5 points per 100 possessions for a 97 percentile. And they hold the opponent's field goal percentage to a completely underwater, 45.8%. That's a 100 percentile. So even though the offense's field goal percentage takes a hit, the defense that is applied on the other end is forcing opponents to shoot way below their expected efficiency. So that is a viable option for when moments that like Obi gets into some foul trouble, or we're facing an opponent that's trying to go small with us and we can afford to go smaller. RJ Barrett is ready to be a power forward for the Knicks, at least for the next 2 to 3 weeks, to fill in the gaps when Toppin isn't available. Now, I threw Josh Hart in here and Sims because Thibs mentioned them both. Hart has only played 5 possessions at power forward, so I just threw this in. It's ignore these stats; they're irrelevant. He's just in for me to just talk about him there. I don't think using Hart at the 4 is really something that Thibs should be looking at here. Maybe for an occasional, a minute or two. 2-minute stretch or something. You're trying to get some extra rest for Obi and RJ. Maybe you can use Hart for a couple of possessions like that. But we also saw Isaiah Hartenstein and Sims together in some games earlier this year. They had moderate effectiveness. For a little stretch there, they played pretty well, but then after a while, it did not go that well. So I pulled all his stats as a power forward, not center. These are all just as power forward. He played 204 possessions, and the differentials, the first time it goes minus on this sheet right here, the Knicks are a minus 5.5 points per game in differential for a 23rd percentile, and in points per 100 possessions, they dropped to 109.8 points for a 15th percentile. And the field goal percentage is down in the neighborhood of when RJ's out on the court, 50.5% for an 8th percentile. So these stats are not encouraging. And then when you look at the defense, even on the defensive end, you would think maybe Sims would have a greater impact there. No. 115.3 points allowed for a 46th percentile. And we allow opponents to shoot at a 55.5% efficiency rate. Field goal percentage rate for a 34th percentile. So Sims, statistically, he doesn't look like a good option to fill Randle's shoes while he's out at this moment. Though I still see Thibs trying it at times. I see him trying it at times. So let's see how that goes. But this clearly shows that the Knicks will not necessarily in the short run take too much of a hit having Randle rest up right now. So this could be like a positive result, unexpected result. And by what I mean by that is Randle had looked gassed. He had even only scored 3 points in the game before he had to leave last night in the first half. He was shooting terribly. He just didn't look right, and he hasn't looked good since that 57-point monster game that he had. And he has said himself that he has been gassed. He said it weeks ago. So this could be good. The downside is that he might get a little rusty. However, knowing him, he'll probably figure a way to keep the shot going. He can shoot the 3-point shot. He can shoot with a boot on, so he can practice that way. Though, however, he probably won't want to put too much weight on it. So it is going to be a challenge to get him back as sharp as possible in time. But look at what KD was able to do in those 3 weeks. He came out the other night. I think it was last night. It was his first game. He was tremendous. So this is where we're at right now. I want to hear your feelings about this situation to see if possibly we might be able to eke it through for the next few games. The one thing that it is worrisome is the actual game coming up against the Cavs, the last regular season game against the Cavs. The Knicks are leading that series, like I said before, 2-1. And Randle played all 3 games. In the 2 wins, Randle played very well. In the 2 wins, he averaged about 36.5 minutes per game. So that's a lot of minutes, but he averaged that. He averaged 27 points per game in the 2 wins. His field goal percentage was 45%. His three-point field goal percentage was insane. It was a 47.4% in those 2 games. He got pulled down, averaged 11 rebounds, got 4 assists, but the plus minus in the 2 wins was a minus 5.0. So we won those games. When Randle, or we were able to stretch leads or make up deficits when Randle wasn't on the court in those 2 games. So it's very interesting to see how that played out. And remember, in one of those games, I believe Jared Allen did not play. So remember that. And he's also doubtful to play in this final game against the Knicks of the regular season. So it might just be Mobley, which would be very, very beneficial for the Knicks to not have to face both those 2 7-footers. Now, in the one loss, which was the first game of the year, Randle had a bad game, had a very bad game. He played about almost 33 minutes, but he only scored 15 points. He shot 38.5% overall from the field. Missed his field, all of it. I think he had 3 3-point shot attempts. He missed them, so he was a 0 from the 3-point line. He pulled down 9 rebounds, got 7 dimes in that game, but they were a minus 8. And when you combine all those stats, the wins and the losses against Cleveland Cavaliers, when Randle's plus minus was a minus 6.0, even though the Knicks won 2 of those 3 games. Yeah. So it's going to be a tall order. I still think it's possible that we steal this game against the Cavs. Mostly because the Knicks they're feeling it right now. The young guys are starting to rise to meet their level of potential that we've seen. Grimes is insane right now. IQ is going to win 6th Man of the Year, and he's playing like a top 10 point guard already right now. And we already have a top 10 point guard in Jalen Brunson. I'm hoping that Jalen Brunson, with that extra time to rest, he didn't play in that 4th quarter, that the hand starts feeling a little better. Maybe he gets a little sharper, and he comes out and has a good game against Cleveland, because we need it. We need him to have a good game to make life difficult on the Cavs guards. Then we got to make Donovan Mitchell work. We got to make Darius Garland work, and whoever else they throw at us. We've got to make them work. And we need Brunson to do the best job that he can to close out on those 3-point shooters of the Cavs have. They have to do that, or he has to do that, or else we are going to be in some trouble. We're going to be in some trouble if he doesn't do that. Now, I want to look at Mr. Grimes. Quentin Grimes. It's Grimes' time to level up, and it seems like he has. About a month ago, I basically put it out there that I was disappointed in the way Grimes was attacking the game from an offensive standpoint, and even defensively, he had been lagging. Since the All-Star break, the starter with the lowest defensive rating actually was RJ. It was overtaken by IQ, but because he started a few of those games. But the ones that started all of the games since the All-Star break, RJ was playing better, had a better defensive rating than Quentin Grimes. But as of late, that is starting to turn around. So I tweeted this out today. Since the All-Star break, it's Grimes time. It's Grimes praise time. Q.Grimes efficiency stats since the All-Star break have been on fire. He's shooting almost 50% from the field. He's shooting 45% from the 3-point line. 45%. And he leads the league in 3-point makes from the left corner or the right corner. I can't remember exactly. I think it's the right corner. That's where he leads the league. Oh, no, it's the left corner. It's the left corner. He leads the league there. He's averaging 11.2 points per game. So he's gotten more aggressive. He's looking for his shot more. He's not just looking to move the ball to the next guy, which I love that. And he's driving still with the same ferocity. However, he's picking his spots better right now. And I love that he's taking more 3-point shots at the moment. He needs to continue. Everything he's doing as of late, he needs to continue doing it. Look at his true shooting, 66.8%. His field goal percentage, 65.8%. Quentin Grimes is becoming a lethal 3-and-D plus player for the Knicks just in time for the postseason. Then, I followed up by looking at his last 6 games, which included last night's game, which was fantastic for him, the game against the Heat. Quentin Grimes' stats in the last 6 games are even more impressive. He's averaging 16 points per game on 53.1% field goal shooting, 53.3% from the three-point line. 53.3%. He's shooting better from the three-point line than inside the arc. His true shooting is 72.5%. His field goal percentage is 71.9%. Now, you can look at this and say, oh, well, he's on a little bit of a hot streak. He'll come back down to earth. No. Yes, of course, that's going to cool off. But I see the numbers on the left side here, the ones closest to me, since the All-Star break, being closer to what Quentin Grimes can do night in, night out over a long stretch of time. I see that being closer to his true. So it can be a 50%. He can be a 50-40-90 guy. His free throw shooting isn't quite up there right now, but in terms of his efficiency, he is becoming exactly what we need at this moment. And now let's talk about the man's defense. Look at this. B-ball index headshot plot. This is basically looking at the matchup difficulty for all these players in the NBA. And the further you are to the top right, the better. The further you are all the way to the right means you are encountering a tremendous matchup difficulty. And the higher up you are, the better defending you are. So that's the defensive LeBron metric. So right there, Quentin Grimes, you see him in that circle. He is, night in, night out, he gets the most difficult matchups in the entire NBA. Now, there are guys that are a little more effective than he is when he's dealing with those matchups, but he is basically rendering the opponent almost neutral, almost close to zero. They're not, when they go up against Grimes, their stats go down. That's the way if you want to look at this in a kind of like a non-scientific way. You see Alex Caruso way up there in the top right. He's by far the best defender according to this chart right here. Or there's a lot of factors that go into this type of stuff, but you see OG Anunoby's up there. Who else is up there? Is that Isaac Okoro? I believe. Lou Dort, who considers himself to be the best defensive player in the league. Grimes is outdoing him right there. You can see him; he's right next to him in that little little orange circle. So we got a tremendous defender here. This is fantastic, and he's going to have to up his game, especially with Randle out. Now let's look at the playoff picture. This is how it is at the moment. The play-in begins April 11th. The playoffs start April 15th, as I mentioned before. Right now, it looks like Cleveland and the Knicks are going to face each other in that first round. And we won't even talk about the rest of them. That's all that matters to us here. But now let's look at the actual matchup between the Cavs and the Knicks. As I said, the Knicks are leading the season series 2-1. They dropped the first game, which was on October 30th, the night before Halloween, 121-108. But then on the second game, which was December 4th, which was a big turning point. That was a big turning point right there. Remember, that's when Thibs decided to reduce the rotation. He put Thibs in. He sat Cam Reddish. He sat Fournier. And Grimes had already been starting, and he tightened up the rotation to 9 men, and they gave more time for IQ to be out on the floor and finally discover his shot, his stroke. Knicks won that game, 92-81. Probably one of the best games for the Knicks of the season so far, to hold the Cavs to just 81 points. And then they follow that up about a month and a half later, on January 24th, with another this was a tight win, 105-103. Both of these games, the wins were at home. The Knicks are actually a better road team, though of late that's starting to level out a little bit. The Knicks are finally winning games at Madison Square Garden. But this game on Friday is on the road, so it's going to be a really interesting matchup. I am super hyped for it, and I believe that at this point, I can see it going either way. However, if Jared Allen is out, then the Knicks should really get an extra boost from that. Now, what I pulled here are the stats for each team in these actual matchups. And when you look at, interestingly, which is really bizarre, both teams average 101.7 points versus each other in the 3 games. Crazy. The Knicks shot 46.2% as a team. The Cavs only shot 42.5%. So that's a good almost 4 percentage points better. And then when you look at the 3-point shooting, the Cavs shot a 0.4 better than us. 36.4% for the Cavs. We shot 36%. But look at the attempts. The Cavs averaged almost 40 attempts, where we averaged almost 30. So the Cavs are putting up 10 additional 3-point shots. We are going to have to reverse that. We're going to have to either match the amount of 3-point shot attempts that the Cavs make. We have to. Or even put up more. We're going to have to. And now with Grimes' 3-point stroke returning in a tremendous lethal manner, over 50-something%, as I mentioned before. IQ's 3-point shot is returning. He's becoming lethal as crazy. Obi looks like he's got some signs of life of his 3-point shot possibly coming back. And the way he plays is I could see it happening. Literally, you could just turn it on. And on Friday, he just starts lighting it up, and he hits 4 or 5 3-point shots. I can see that happening. So we need to up our 3-point shot efficiency. But when you look at and the free throws, we shot only 67.2%. If we make 75%, that's increasing our point total right there. And these games have been, at least the last game was pretty close. And I expect all of these games to continue to be close, especially as we get into playoff time. Got to make the free throws. That is a must. The Cavs hit 76.4%. So they're right up there. They're almost they're 9% points, 9 percentage points better in free throws than we are. Got to get them up there. But we do go to the free throw line one more attempt than they do on average. Now, the rebounding. This is where we're going to take the biggest hit with Randle. Going to take the biggest hit here. It's unfortunate because that's something that Randle's he's in the top 10 in rebounding. I believe he might even be top 5 in the league. So that's going to be a big deficiency, and that's not something Obi does well in. However, RJ is a good rebounder. Josh Hart is a good rebounder. So we're going to have a gang rebounding mentality, especially without Randle out there. Because you can see the Knicks averaged 47 rebounds per game against the Cavs, and the Cavs only got 41 rebounds. So that could probably level out with Randle out. Turnovers. We cut our turnovers down. It's a must-do for these Knicks. We're averaging 17.3 turnovers per game versus the Cavs, but for the season overall, we're at 13.3 turnovers per game, which is, I think, 4th lowest in the NBA, 4th or 5th lowest. 17.3 is very high. And the Cavs are averaging 15 turnovers per game. So we need to flip those. We need to induce more turnovers on the Cavs and reduce turnovers on our end. Now, I'll say, that's one thing. Randle does commit a lot of turnovers. So it's possible that is something that these Knicks could tighten up, especially with Brunson and Quickly out there. Quickly rarely makes a turnover, and same with Brunson, though he did commit a lot of turnovers in the last game that he came back. Steals, we're up on that, 6.3 for us versus 6, but that's a nice stat there. Blocks, Mitch, Isaiah, you guys are gonna have to up that. You're going to have to really up that. You're going to have to match that, because it'll also help to discourage the Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, whoever else wants to drive into the paint. We're going to have to increase the blocks on this team in this matchup versus the Cavs. And then I think that's pretty much it to look at there. So this shows to me that if the Knicks can replace Randle's rebounding and his three-point shot making, because that was the real key against the Cavs in the 2 wins. He shot 47.4% in the 2 wins. And in the loss, he didn't make any. So if the Knicks can replace the rebounding and the three-point shot making, the Knicks can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers without Julius Randle. How do you like that? Let's go. All right, thank you so much for watching this. Again, my name is George. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and turn on the notification bell so you are alerted when I drop videos just like this one, which at this point with the playoffs coming, who knows? Who knows when I'm going to be dropping videos? It could be every day. It could be every day. We'll see. But definitely, I'll be keeping up the post games. Not sure I'll be doing them live. Probably for the postseason, I will. Not sure 100%, but I'll definitely be doing a post game recap of some type as well. And hit the thumbs up button. Drop your comments. It's a shame that Randle is being forced into resting. But I think we have enough to get through this period and finish with a record that will help us hold on to the 5th seed and be able to at least win a couple of games against the Cavs in the first round of the playoffs until Randle returns. And Randle seems to be such a tough guy. I think he will return pretty quickly, as quickly as possible. I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.